who carved massive stones with impossible precision long before the invention of steel tools or modern machines, who mapped the stars and built temples perfectly aligned with celestial patterns thousands of years ago. And how did civilizations separated by oceans and centuries share the same symbols, the same myths, and the same cosmic obsession? Were they connected by something we no longer understand, or by someone we have long forgotten? Every clue we uncover only deepens the mystery of our true origins, buried beneath the sands of time. High in the mist-shrouded highlands of Pusing Forest Park in Bueng Kan Province, northeastern Thailand, lies one of the region's most otherworldly formations, Hin Sam Wan, the Three Whale Rocks. From the air, these colossal sandstone outcrops resemble three whales swimming gracefully through a vast ocean of green forest, the father, the mother, and the child. But what makes this place so mesmerizing is not only its shape, it's the energy that seems to radiate from the stones themselves. Compasses waver. Light bends strangely across their surfaces. Visitors speak of a magnetic whisper that defies explanation. To some, the Three Whale Rocks are a geological marvel. To others, they are a spiritual sanctuary where the veil between science and myth grows thin. Do you believe they are simply natural wonders, or could they truly hold an ancient energy waiting to be understood? Geologists date the formation to more than 75 million years ago, during the late Cretaceous period, the age of the dinosaurs. At that time, the land we now call Thailand was submerged beneath a shallow sea. Over countless ages, layers of sand and sediment compacted into sandstone, later pushed upward by tectonic forces. Wind, rain, and time sculpted the rock into smooth, flowing shapes that mimic the hydrodynamic curves of marine life. It's as though the ocean itself left behind a memory in stone, the image of its greatest creatures preserved long after the waters vanished. And yet, beyond these geological explanations lies something more elusive. At dawn, when the first light touches the rock, something extraordinary happens. The entire surface seems to shimmer and breathe as though awakening. The sandstone catches and refracts the sunlight, scattering it into scales of silver and gold that ripple down the length of the stone, like light gliding over the back of a living whale. Campers and photographers describe it as a moment of quiet awe, when the rock feels alive. At first, scientists dismissed this as an optical illusion, a trick of dew and mineral crystals. But high-resolution studies of the rock's reflective surface revealed something stranger. The distribution of light is not uniform. Certain points concentrate and refract light with unusual intensity, forming narrow corridors of illumination, as if the rock itself were designed to catch and channel the dawn. Even more puzzling are the magnetic readings. When compasses are placed on specific parts of the rock, their needles quiver or drift slightly. Electronic devices flicker, GPS signals waver, faint bursts of static appear in recording equipment. Some researchers speculate that the rock retains a residual magnetic charge, a fossil memory, from its time beneath an ancient seabed rich in iron. Others wonder whether the effect is caused by subtle interactions between sunlight, heat, and mineral content, a phenomenon science has yet to fully explain. A 2018 survey by researchers from Chulalongkorn University mapped these anomalies and discovered they weren't random. The strongest magnetic deviations aligned precisely along a north-south axis, stretching from the head of the whale to its tail, mirroring the path of sunrise at the winter solstice. The alignment seemed too exact to be accidental. Was it pure coincidence, or evidence that prehistoric people, aware of solar or magnetic forces, intentionally oriented or shaped the formation? That question still divides scientists and spiritualists alike. For the local Isan communities, however, there is no debate, only truth preserved in legend. Long before geologists arrived, villagers told of three great whales that once swam in a boundless ocean that covered the world. When the waters receded, the whales lay down to sleep and became stone, guardians of the land they once ruled. To this day, Villagers visit Hinsamwan to offer prayers, food, and incense. Some come to seek blessings for journeys across water or air. Others come simply to feel the serenity of the place, where the wind hums softly across the stone, like breath through ancient lungs. Whether born of geology or mythology, the three whale rocks seem to carry both truth and mystery in equal measure. A reminder that even the oldest stones can still pulse with life, light and wonder. So what do you believe? Are these whales the accidental art of time and tide, or do they hold within them the lingering memory of a world that once spoke through the language of the earth itself? When the sea receded, the whales were left stranded upon the dry land, refusing to be separated from each other or from the earth they loved. They turned themselves to stone. According to legend, when the sun rises and the rocks glow, it is the spirits of the whales remembering the sea. The flickers of light that ripple across their backs are said to be their breaths, shimmering waves carrying the ocean's eternal memory. Monks who meditate upon the stones speak of feeling a faint vibration beneath them, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Whether it is imagination, faith, or something deeper, the sensation fills those who experience it with a profound and lingering peace. Visitors to the three whale rocks often describe strange sensations, an unexplainable calm, a tingling on the skin, or a subtle pressure in the head, as if the stone itself were alive and breathing. When scientists brought magnetic and electrical sensors to the site, they recorded something just as strange: tiny but steady electromagnetic pulses, radiating from specific points across the rocks, strongest at sunrise and sunset. The readings were faint but consistent, as if the stone were breathing in rhythm with the earth itself. Geophysicists have suggested a natural explanation. The sandstone of the whales contains quartz and feldspar crystals, minerals that generate a weak electric charge when they expand and contract with heat, an effect known as piezoelectricity. Over millions of years, these daily thermal cycles may have turned the stones into ancient geological batteries, quietly pulsing with the planet's energy. To stand on them at dawn is to feel the heartbeat of something vast, a 75-million-year-old organism made of stone, humming softly beneath the tropical sun. Viewed from above, the three colossal formations lie in perfect alignment along a northeast-southwest axis, matching the direction of the sunrise during the winter solstice. This remarkable precision, combined with the site's unusual magnetic readings, has led some researchers to believe that three whale rocks may once have been used as a prehistoric observatory, a sea natural calendar where ancient people tracked the movements of the sun. Archaeologists have found grooves, cut lines, and unnaturally flat surfaces on parts of the rock, marks that are difficult to explain through erosion alone. It is possible that prehistoric peoples intentionally shaped or modified the formation, aligning it with celestial events for rituals or seasonal ceremonies. If true, this would suggest that the ancient inhabitants of Southeast Asia possessed advanced astronomical knowledge, perhaps even an awareness of magnetism and solar cycles long before recorded history. Today, Three Whale Rocks remains a place of serenity and awe. The air carries the scent of the forest and ancient stone. From the back of the Father Whale, you can see the Mekong River, the mountains of Laos, and a horizon that feels infinite. As dawn breaks, the world ignites in soft gold and rose light, and for a brief moment, it feels as if you are standing not on rock, but upon the back of a cosmic creature still gliding through the memory of an ancient sea. Spiritual seekers call the site one of the Earth's energy nodes, where magnetic lines and cosmic light converge. Scientists remain cautious, yet even skeptics admit there is something here that defies easy explanation. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, a masterpiece of geology, shaped by natural forces so intricate and interwoven that they border on the sacred. Light, magnetism, stone, and time, four elements converging to create a phenomenon that blurs the line between the physical and the spiritual. Some mysteries, it seems, are not meant to be solved. They simply ask to be witnessed, reminding us that the earth is still alive with wonders older and wiser than our understanding. Far to the west, across the barren hills of the Anatolian Peninsula, another mystery waits beneath the sun and sand, a place where wind and time have sculpted the limestone into silent waves. To the untrained eye, it appears to be just another hill. Yet beneath that dry soil lies one of the most extraordinary and ancient structures ever discovered, Karahan Tepe. At first glance, it is unassuming. But beneath the surface, archaeologists have unearthed a vast network of chambers and carved pillars that may date back 11,000 to 12,000 years, making it older than the pyramids of Egypt by at least 7 millennia, and predating even the dawn of agriculture. For centuries, humanity believed that Stone Age people were simple hunters and gatherers, incapable of art, engineering, or organized construction. Yet Karahan Tepe, along with its twin site Göbekli Tepe, just 35 kilometers away, has shattered those assumptions, revealing a forgotten chapter in human history where creativity and intellect flourished long before civilization as we know it. What do you think about Karahan Tepe? Could people living 12,000 years ago truly have built something so advanced? Or does it hint at the remnants of a lost civilization, one whose memory still sleeps beneath the sands of Anatolia? Have we simply forgotten? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your theory. When archaeologists began excavating Karahan Tepe, they unearthed something that defied every timeline of human history. Hundreds of T-shaped stone pillars, some towering over 4 meters high and weighing more than 10 tons, arranged in precisely circular formations. Even more astonishing were the carvings, haunting reliefs of humans, animals, and abstract symbols, unlike anything ever seen from known ancient civilizations. In one subterranean chamber, carved directly into the bedrock, stands a colossal statue of a man, his head emerging from the stone, while his body remains buried, as if rising from the earth itself. His face is solemn, his blank eyes fixed on the ceiling above. Those who stand before him describe a strange stillness, a feeling that the sculpture is not just art, but an awakening frozen in time. Scholars interpret him as a god of rebirth, or perhaps a symbol of the moment when humankind first became aware of its own consciousness, when we began to look inward and ask, who are we? Karahan Tepe dates to around 9,510,000 BCE. Long before humans learned to farm, build villages, or domesticate animals. There are no traces of pottery, metal, or permanent settlement in the area, only perfectly cut and arranged stones, carved with precision that continues to baffle experts. How could a society of hunter-gatherers have engineered such monuments using only primitive tools? Every stone at Karahan Tepe raises a question that shakes the foundations of our understanding of human history. These builders possessed an advanced grasp of geometry, proportion, and spatial design, along with the ability to coordinate vast groups of workers toward a shared, almost cosmic vision. Unlike Göbekli Tepe, where the T-shaped pillars are mostly plain or decorated with animal motifs, the pillars of Karahan Tepe bear human faces, complete with noses, mouths, and expressive features. These are not crude markings, but refined works of art. Their faces radiate awareness, reverence, and perhaps even fear. Many archaeologists interpret this as the earliest evidence of deifying the human form, a turning point in spirituality when people began to associate the divine not just with nature, but with themselves. Karahan Tepe, then, may mark the moment when humankind first contemplated its own place in the universe. But who were these people? They left no writing, no graves, no tools beyond chipped flint, only perfectly balanced pillars rising from the rock. Many scholars suggest they were advanced hunter-gatherers from the ancient Mesopotamian region, possessing abstract intelligence thousands of years ahead of their era. They might have used sharpened stone implements, ropes, and earthen ramps to move and raise the stones, feats of strength, coordination, and ingenuity that border on the miraculous. Others are less convinced that human effort alone can explain the perfection of Karahan Tepe. They point to the site's symmetry, balance, and celestial alignment, arguing that it hints at something more, a legacy inherited from an earlier civilization, one erased by cataclysm, yet remembered through its architecture. Some even suggest that Karahan Tepe could be a remnant of a pre-deluge culture, echoing the great floods of Sumerian and biblical myth. Whatever the truth, the builders of Karahan Tepe clearly possessed a profound understanding of both the universe and the human spirit. They turned stone into a language of faith, a message carved across 12 millennia, still speaking to us in silence. The architecture itself is breathtaking. Each T-shaped pillar is precisely spaced, oriented toward the circular heart of the structure with near-perfect symmetry. The underground chambers, carved directly into the limestone, feature stairways, corridors, and drainage systems, signs of deliberate planning and a sophisticated understanding of construction. Across the surfaces, carvings of snakes, leopards, gazelles, and birds abound, not mere decorations, but sacred symbols of life, death, and transformation. Every incision seems intentional, every line a prayer in stone. Karahan Tepe does not stand alone. It is part of a constellation of over a dozen similar sites scattered across southeastern Turkey, known collectively as Taş Tepeler, or the Stone Hills. Each features the same T-shaped pillars, circular enclosures, and ceremonial centers, suggesting that the entire region once formed a unified, religious landscape. A network of sacred sites devoted to the mysteries of creation itself. Taken together, they tell a story far older than history, a story of a forgotten epoch when early humans reached for the divine long before cities, kings, or empires existed. Perhaps Karahan Tepe is not only an archaeological site, but a message from the dawn of consciousness, a reminder that the roots of civilization run deeper than we have ever dared to imagine. The similarities in carving styles, layouts, and symbols across the ancient Anatolian sites suggest that these early builders shared a common belief system, perhaps a unified spiritual vision that stretched across the entire region. If this theory is true, Karahan Tepe may have been the central sanctuary of that prehistoric network, a sacred hub where early humans gathered to perform rituals, make offerings, and pray for harmony with nature. Fertility and the hunt. It could represent the earliest known form of organized religion, emerging thousands of years before the rise of agriculture or cities. Karahan Tepe is not merely a collection of stones, it is humanity's first declaration of thought. It marks the moment when we began to build, not for survival, but for meaning. In each pillar, in every carved figure, there is an unmistakable awareness of existence, a yearning to transcend the animal state. Here, perhaps for the first time, people looked to the heavens and carved their beliefs into the earth, binding heaven and humanity through stone. To this day, less than 20% of Karahan Tepe has been excavated. The rest lies buried beneath layers of earth and time, waiting to reveal its secrets. Each excavation season uncovers something new: hidden chambers, intricate carvings, statues unlike any seen before. Archaeologists believe that what has been revealed so far is only the beginning. Beneath the surface may rest a labyrinth of corridors, altars, and ritual spaces capable of rewriting the entire story of human civilization. Karahan Tepe stands as powerful evidence that human intelligence did not evolve from agriculture or city life, but existed long before in our creativity, spirituality, and imagination. The builders of this sacred site were not seeking material permanence. They were seeking connection with the universe, with the divine, and with their own souls. They may not have built to be remembered, but to engrave the meaning of life itself into stone, leaving their message for us to rediscover. And thousands of years later, That message still echoes. We once understood more than you think. Karahan Tepe is not merely an archaeological site, it is a mirror, reflecting our forgotten origins and challenging everything we believe about who we are. If humanity could create such beauty and complexity 12,000 years ago, before the wheel, metal, or writing, then how much have we truly forgotten about our beginnings? Across the rugged landscapes of Sardinia, an island adrift between Italy and North Africa, another mystery rises from the earth. The Nuraghe, ancient stone towers built over 2,500 years ago. Thousands of these massive structures, hewn from volcanic basalt, stand scattered across the island's hills, valleys, and plains. Their dark, weathered walls whisper the story of a forgotten civilization. Each nuraghe was built from giant basalt blocks, quarried and transported across rugged terrain without evidence of wheels, pulleys, or metal tools. Some stones weigh several tons, yet were stacked with astonishing precision to form conical towers up to 20 meters tall. The most complex, such as Sunuraxi di Barumini, consist of multiple towers connected by thick defensive walls, courtyards, and spiral staircases. What astonishes modern engineers is that no mortar was used. The stones fit together so perfectly that even after thousands of years of storms and earthquakes, many still stand intact. Laser scans reveal joints fitted with microscopic precision, as if shaped by a long-lost technique of megalithic engineering. The method, known as dry stone masonry, exists elsewhere, in the Inca walls of Cusco, the Mycenaean fortresses of Greece, and the talayots of the Balearic Islands, but nowhere is it found on the same scale or executed with such mastery as in Sardinia. Some researchers suggest the builders possessed an intuitive grasp of geometry, distributing weight and pressure with mathematical perfection. Others believe the secret lies in the subtle curvature of each block, allowing them to interlock naturally, creating structures flexible enough to withstand the Earth's tremors. Over 7,000 nuraghe still dot Sardinia today, perhaps twice that number once existed. They rise like sentinels on the island's high ground, guarding valleys, rivers, and ancient trade routes. Some stand alone, others cluster together, suggesting fortified settlements or ceremonial complexes. Who built them? How did they master such precise construction with only Bronze Age tools? And why does their purpose remain so elusive? Fortresses, temples, observatories, or all three? Whatever their origin, the nuraghe of Sardinia, like Karahan Tepe, remind us that ancient humanity possessed knowledge, artistry, and purpose far beyond what our history books have yet dared to tell. Each nuraghe, the singular form of nuraghe, possesses its own unique design. Some stand as solitary towers, while others form intricate complexes with spiral staircases, hidden corridors, and secondary chambers. From the air, they resemble vast stone beehives, their dark shadows stretching across Sardinia's sunlit plains like echoes from another age. The sheer number of these structures, over 7,000 still visible today, suggests a remarkably organized society capable of large-scale planning and collective labor. A centralized civilization flourished here long before the rise of Rome, even before the glory of classical Greece, yet without a single written word left behind. Their creators, the mysterious Nuragic people, remain shadows in history. Scholars have long debated the purpose of the nuraghe. Some see them as military fortresses, strategically placed to defend the island. Their thick basalt walls and high vantage points certainly imply a defensive role. But many are too small or poorly positioned for warfare, raising doubts about that theory. Others propose that these towers served as religious sanctuaries, sacred spaces devoted to the worship of solar, lunar, or water deities. Excavations have uncovered altars, underground wells, and offerings, suggesting ritual use. A third interpretation views the nuraghe as astronomical observatories. Several towers are aligned with solar and stellar events, such as the summer solstice sunrise or the path of the Orion constellation. These alignments might have guided agricultural cycles or marked sacred times of year. Yet no single explanation fits every site. Perhaps, like medieval castles, the nuraghi were multi-purpose centers, places of defense, worship, governance, and communication, forming the backbone of a civilization whose political and spiritual life revolved around these megalithic monuments. Constructing a nuraga required not just physical strength, but sophisticated engineering. Builders had to calculate weight distribution, anticipate collapse, and balance massive stones without the use of mortar. Inside, the towers feature remarkable false domes, or tholos, created by layering concentric rings of stone, each slightly overlapping the one below, until they meet in a perfect corbelled vault. This technique, seen also in the treasury of Atreus in Mycenae, demonstrates an architectural intelligence far beyond what is usually attributed to Bronze Age islanders. Even more intriguing is the acoustic design of some inner chambers. Their curved walls amplify and resonate sound, suggesting intentional construction to enhance chanting, music, or ritual communication. The circular proportions themselves seem symbolic, miniature models of the cosmos, connecting Earth to the heavens. Despite their mastery of stone, the Nuragic people left behind no writing, no symbols, no inscriptions. Only fragments remain: pottery, tools, and bronze figurines depicting warriors, ships, animals, and deities. These artifacts hint at a culture rich in myth and artistry, but they do not explain the towers themselves. When the Phoenicians and later the Romans arrived, they found the nuraghi already ancient. They repurposed them as fortresses and dwellings, but even they could not say who had built them. By then, the civilization that raised these towers had already slipped into legend. Excavations at sites like Su Nuraxi di Barumini, Sant'Antine, and Nuragalosa have revealed evidence of organized villages, metalworking, and trade with distant lands, proof that the Nuragic culture was complex and outward-looking. Yet how they mobilized the manpower and expertise to construct thousands of massive towers across Sardinia's rugged landscape remains unexplained. Who, then, were these master builders? Some scholars believe they descended from Neolithic tribes who evolved in isolation after Sardinia broke from the mainland. Others see links to the Sea Peoples, those mysterious mariners who roamed the Mediterranean at the end of the Bronze Age. And in the realm of speculation, a few suggest that the nuraghi were constructed using lost technologies, perhaps based on sound, magnetism, or unknown techniques for moving stone, ideas that, while unproven, underscore how astonishing these structures remain even to modern engineers. Standing before a nuraghi at sunset, you can feel the weight of millennia pressing from its basalt walls. The structure exudes power and permanence, as if it was built not only to endure, but to defy time itself. Moss clings to its crevices, lizards bask on the dark stone. The wind hums softly through narrow openings, carrying an echo that seems older than language. To this day, Sardinians tell stories of giants who once lived within these towers, echoes of ancient myths that may preserve faint memories of the awe these monuments once inspired. In 1997, Su Nuraxi di Barumini was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized as one of the most important prehistoric architectural achievements in Europe. Today, archaeologists continue to study the Nuragic civilization with advanced methods, 3D mapping, drone imaging, and ground-penetrating radar to uncover the hidden complexity of these ancient towers. And yet, despite all we've learned, the nuraghi still hold their silence. They stand across Sardinia like watchful sentinels, guardians of a mystery older than recorded history, a reminder that there was a time when stone itself was language, and the builders spoke it fluently. Yet with every discovery, new questions emerge. Why were some nuraghi built on sheer, inaccessible cliffs? Why do others align precisely with distant mountains or star constellations? Were these towers connected through a network of visual signals, an ancient system of communication, or did they map a sacred geography charting Sardinia's spiritual landscape long before written religion. The nuraghi of Sardinia are far more than archaeological ruins. They are messages carved in stone, left by a people whose voice has been lost to time. Their massive basalt walls reveal not only technical genius, but a philosophy of endurance, a belief that through balance, geometry and stone, one could bind heaven and earth. Over 3,000 years later, they still stand, silent yet eloquent, reminding us that human ingenuity can transcend time itself. Whether they were fortresses, temples, observatories, or symbols of cosmic harmony, the nuraghi endure as enigmas of engineering and faith. Guardians of a civilization that mastered the delicate art of balancing stone, gravity, and eternity, hidden behind the grand temple of Seti the Fuen at Abydos, Egypt, lies a monument so mysterious and so unlike anything else in Egyptian history that it continues to challenge archaeologists and historians alike. Known as the Osirion, this massive underground complex defies conventional explanation. It does not resemble the elegant hieroglyph-covered temples of the dynasties we know. Instead, it rises from the depths in colossal red granite blocks, roughly hewn yet geometrically perfect, more reminiscent of the megalithic architecture of Peru's Sacsayhuaman, or Lebanon's Baalbek than of any Egyptian sanctuary when Sir Flinders Petrie and Margaret Murray discovered it in the early 20th century. The find ignited immediate controversy. The Osirion lies 12 meters below ground, its foundation far deeper than that of Seti's temple above it, suggesting it may have already been ancient when Seti's craftsmen began their work. Unlike typical Egyptian temples aligned with the rising sun, the Osirion follows a different orientation, as though built according to another cosmic order entirely. Could it truly be a creation of the pharaohs, or is it the remnant of an older, forgotten civilization that mastered stone long before dynastic Egypt existed? The Osirion is composed of enormous red granite blocks, some weighing between 50 and 100 tons. They bear no inscriptions, no hieroglyphs, only smooth, precise surfaces, imbued with a sense of primal strength, as if shaped before language itself. 12 monumental pillars surround a central rectangular pool, now filled with groundwater. Visitors describe the descent into its depths as entering another realm, a place where time stands still and the air hums with the gravity of the ancient. This raw, Cyclopean style of construction has no equivalent in traditional Egyptian architecture. Its closest parallels appear thousands of kilometers away in other megalithic sites built from massive interlocking stones, joined so perfectly that even a blade cannot pass between them. Good artisans armed only with bronze chisels and wooden rollers have achieved such engineering perfection. The Osirion's design feels less like a temple of art and more like a monument of pure geometry, an act of precision rather than ornamentation. Early Egyptologists, such as Edouard Naville, noted this same contrast. Its rough power and mathematical accuracy seem to belong to another era entirely, one defined not by aesthetic beauty, but by monumental purpose. Modern analyses reveal that the angles and surfaces of the granite blocks approach near-machined precision. The joins are seamless, the planes are naturally smooth. Such accuracy, achieved with supposed Bronze Age tools, challenges everything we know about ancient construction methods. Some researchers even compare its tolerances to those of modern engineering, hinting at techniques or technologies long lost to time. Equally puzzling is its subterranean design. The entire complex lies below ground level, giving the impression of a fortress or tomb for the gods. This layout aligns with the myth of Osiris, the Egyptian god of resurrection, whose legendary tomb was said to rest in Abydos. The Osirion, then, may have served as a symbolic underworld, a ritual portal between life and death, a sacred mirror of the mythic realm where Osiris was reborn. At its center lies a rectangular basin of water, perpetually replenished by the natural groundwater beneath. To the ancient Egyptians, water symbolized both creation and the boundary between worlds. Descending into the Osirian would have felt like entering the primordial waters of Nun, the infinite ocean from which all life first emerged. Standing within its shadowed halls, surrounded by megalithic stone and still water, one senses a presence older than history, a whisper from a civilization that may have once understood the laws of matter and spirit in ways we have yet to rediscover. Was the Osirian a creation of the pharaohs, or a legacy of a civilization forgotten, one whose knowledge of stone, geometry, and the cosmos was far beyond its time? The truth remains hidden in the silence of its granite walls, deep beneath the sands of Abydos. The universe itself was said to have emerged from these primordial waters. In that sense, the Osirian may have been conceived as a ritual portal of rebirth, a sacred space where initiates or priests symbolically crossed from life into death and back again, reenacting the eternal cycle of Osiris, the god of resurrection. Even today, the constant presence of water makes exploration nearly impossible. The lower levels are perpetually submerged, and divers who have ventured inside describe narrow corridors and alcoves that seem deliberately aligned, perhaps once part of ceremonial pathways or celestial markers, now lost to time. Everything about the Osirian resists easy classification. The inscriptions of Seti I in his nearby temple make no mention of having constructed the structure. There are no hieroglyphs on its walls, no records of architects or artisans, no historical reference to its creation. It is as if the pharaohs themselves found it already ancient, a relic from an age long forgotten, and simply incorporated it into their sacred landscape. If this is true, the Osirian may be one of the oldest surviving stone monuments in Egypt, possibly even predating the pyramids. Some speculative researchers have proposed that it could date as far back as 10,000 BCE, an era predating recorded Egyptian history by thousands of years. Mainstream scholars reject this idea, arguing that its unusual style reflects a deliberate archaic revival, an artistic attempt by Seti the Fern to emulate Egypt's mythical past. Yet even that explanation fails to account for the structure's astonishing engineering precision, leaving open the haunting possibility that the Osirian belongs to an unknown chapter of human civilization. Etched faintly into its granite walls are a series of interlocking circles, the ancient geometric pattern known as the Flower of Life. Found across temples in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, this design represents the blueprint of creation, the mathematical foundation of life and the cosmos. No one knows when or by whom these symbols were carved. Some believe they were added much later, perhaps by Greek or early Coptic visitors. Others see them as evidence of a continuity of sacred knowledge, suggesting that the builders of the Osirian were part of a global tradition of cosmic geometry, a universal quest to capture divine harmony in stone. The precision of these carvings, perfectly symmetrical and deeply incised into the unforgiving granite, feels intentional, as if the walls themselves were meant to preserve a mathematical truth that transcends time. The megalithic design of the Osirian has inspired countless theories. Some writers connect it to Atlantis, suggesting that survivors of a lost civilization carried their knowledge to Egypt. Others see it as evidence of an advanced prehistoric culture that flourished before the Younger Dryas cataclysm around 12,000 years ago, the same era that may have inspired global myths of floods and vanished cities. Whether or not one believes these theories, the Osirian undeniably challenges modern understanding. It stands as a paradox of stone, too advanced for its age, too silent to explain itself, too perfect to be coincidence. Archaeologists continue to study the site using laser scanning, digital modeling, and geological dating, yet definitive answers remain elusive. The granite blocks show no tool marks consistent with bronze or copper chisels, and their surfaces are flat and seamless, as if shaped by techniques far beyond what we associate with the Bronze Age. The orientation of the Osirion also appears astronomically aligned, possibly toward the stars of Orion's belt or Sirius, both sacred to Osiris and symbolic of rebirth in Egyptian cosmology. The absence of inscriptions, once seen as evidence of incompleteness, may instead reflect ritual purity, the idea that the most sacred places were not to be adorned, but left untouched, silent, and eternal. Today, the Osirion remains partly submerged beneath the earth, accessible only by a steep descent behind the Temple of Seti. Those who enter describe a place that feels otherworldly, cool, damp, and echoing with the weight of ages. Standing before its towering granite pillars, one cannot help but sense that this monument is older than history itself, something that transcends human ambition and reaches into the realm of myth. Was it truly a tomb for Osiris, a temple of resurrection, a stellar map carved in stone, or a remnant of a civilization that vanished beneath the sands of time? No one knows. Yet its power lies precisely in that mystery, in its ability to remind us that even in a land as thoroughly explored as Egypt, there are still secrets buried deep below, waiting for light to touch them once again. In the heart of modern-day Luxor, beneath the sands that once belonged to the ancient city of Thebes, lies one of the most breathtaking archaeological discoveries of the modern age, the lost golden city of Aten. Unearthed in 2021 by Dr. Zahi Hawass and his team, it has been hailed as one of the greatest finds of the 21st century, a perfectly preserved city frozen in time, revealing the daily life, artistry, and mystery of Egypt's most radiant era. The lost golden city of Aten had lain buried and forgotten beneath the sands of Luxor for more than 3,000 years. A silent treasure of stone, gold, and memory that has rewritten what we thought we knew about Egypt's 18th dynasty. Yet even more mysterious than its rediscovery is its disappearance. How could a city so vast, so radiant with life and devotion, simply vanish from history without a trace? Was it abandoned for reasons of faith, politics, or something more enigmatic still? The story begins with Pharaoh Amenhotep III, the ninth king of the 18th dynasty, who ruled between 1390 and 1353 BCE, an era of peace, prosperity, and artistic brilliance. Under his reign, Egypt reached the height of its power, its influence stretching from Nubia in the south to Syria in the north. Aten was believed to be one of his greatest achievements, a grand, vibrant metropolis known as the dazzling Aten, or the Rise of Aten. Built to glorify the sun god, it served as a royal center of production, administration, and ceremony, a living testament to the divine order of the pharaoh's rule. Then suddenly silence. After Amenhotep III's death, the city disappeared. No ancient text records its fall. No papyrus mentions its destruction. Even its name faded from Egypt's memory. For over 3 millennia, Aten slept beneath the desert winds, perfectly preserved yet erased from history. Its disappearance remains one of archaeology's most haunting puzzles. Cities may crumble or burn, but they rarely vanish without a trace. When Dr. Zahi Hawass and his team began excavations near Luxor's Valley of the Kings in 2021, they were searching for the mortuary temple of Tutankhamun. Instead, they uncovered something no one expected, an entire city astonishingly intact. Streets lined with mud brick walls stretched in every direction. Workshops were found still filled with tools. Kitchens held pots with food remnants. Storage jars contained dried fish, grain, and seeds. Even footprints of ancient workers marked the dusty floors, as though the city had only just fallen asleep beneath the sand. Amulets, scarabs, rings, and fragments inscribed with Amenhotep III's cartouche lay scattered across the site, tangible echoes of Egypt's golden age. The level of preservation was extraordinary. One archaeologist described it as an Egyptian Pompeii, a city frozen in time, not destroyed by disaster, but sealed in silence. Everything was left behind as if its people had intended to return, yet never did. Why would thousands abandon such a thriving metropolis so abruptly, without signs of war, fire, or plague? The answer may lie in the religious revolution that reshaped Egypt soon after. When Amenhotep III's son Akhenaten took the throne, he rejected Egypt's ancient gods and declared Aten, the sun disk, the sole deity of the universe. This act shattered centuries of tradition. To mark his radical new faith, Akhenaten abandoned Thebes and began building a new capital city. Akhetaten, modern-day Amarna, devoted entirely to the worship of the sun. In this dramatic upheaval, Aten was deliberately abandoned. Its citizens may have been ordered to relocate, leaving behind their possessions as the royal court moved north to serve their heretical king. When Akhenaten's reign ended, his religious experiment was condemned and his city fell. Yet the old capital of Aten was never reclaimed. The desert swallowed it whole, preserving its walls, its artifacts, and the fleeting breath of life that once filled its streets. Excavations at the site revealed clearly defined zones, administrative quarters, workshops, residential blocks, and areas of craft and industry. Pottery kilns, bakeries, and amulet factories stood side by side, frozen in mid-production. It was a city that spoke not only of royal splendor, but of everyday existence. Artisans, farmers, priests, and families who lived in the glow of a golden age, and then they were gone. The lost golden city of Aten endures as both a marvel and a mystery, a mirror of Egypt's greatest triumphs and its most profound silences. Its walls whisper of devotion and power, of divine ambition and human fragility. Time may have buried it, but beneath the sand, the city still seems to breathe, a golden echo of a civilization that refused to be forgotten. Beneath layers of earth and forest mist in the mountains of southern Russia lie the dolmens of the North Caucasus. Ancient stone chambers so precise, so perfectly crafted, that they seem to defy the passage of 4,000 years. Each structure is made of massive stone slabs, fitted so tightly together that not even a blade of grass can slip between their seams. At the center of every dolmen is a single circular portal, smooth and symmetrical, as if it were a doorway to another world. No written records speak of their builders. No tools, settlements, or burials have ever been found nearby. And yet thousands of these structures stretch across the mountain ridges and valleys, forming a vast network of mysterious megaliths. Their origin remains one of the most haunting enigmas in Eurasian archaeology. Were they tombs, temples, or the remnants of an ancient civilization with knowledge far beyond its time? Built between the 3rd and 2nd millennia BCE, the dolmens predate most known cultures of the region. Each one is composed of several monumental slabs, some weighing between 10 and 30 tons, quarried, transported, and assembled without iron tools, wheels, or advanced machinery. The craftsmanship is extraordinary. Surfaces are perfectly flat, angles precise, and circular openings carved with near-mechanical accuracy. Modern engineers still marvel at how such precision was possible with the technology of the Bronze Age. Archaeologists have documented over 3,000 dolmens across the southern slopes of the Caucasus. Many are aligned in clusters, while others stand alone on high ridges, overlooking valleys and rivers. From above, their distribution seems almost deliberate, as if they were part of a vast map, a sacred grid linking the mountains together. Despite decades of research, their purpose remains unclear. Some scholars believe they served as burial chambers for elite members of prehistoric tribes, pointing to traces of human remains and pottery found in a few sites. Others argue that the circular openings were not entrances at all, but symbolic portals, pathways for the soul to pass between worlds. A more unconventional theory suggests the dolmens were part of an ancient energy system, their precise geometry and stone composition designed to resonate with the Earth's magnetic field. Whatever their purpose, the dolmens of the North Caucasus embody a level of engineering and symbolism that feels out of time. Each one stands as a silent testament to a people we no longer know, their names and language long vanished, their legacy carved into unyielding stone. When you stand before a dolmen, staring through its circular window into the dim forest beyond, you can't help but wonder, who were the builders, and what knowledge did they possess that allowed them to shape eternity itself from rock? Some dolmens stand alone, hidden deep within forested slopes, while others align in rows that trace the movement of the sun. These patterns have led researchers to suspect that their builders possessed a sophisticated understanding of astronomy and geometry, possibly aligning their monuments with celestial events such as solstices and equinoxes. Inside many chambers, archaeologists have discovered fragments of pottery, stone beads, and bronze ornaments, traces of ancient rituals. Yet only a few dolmens contained human remains, complicating the assumption that they were simple burial tombs. In many cases, the chambers seem to have been reopened or reused long after their original construction, suggesting that they served as temples, shrines, or portals between worlds. The greatest mystery, however, lies not in their purpose, but in their builders. No known Bronze Age culture in the Caucasus had the tools, organization, or architectural tradition to construct such enduring monuments. The tribes of the region were primarily pastoral, living in small settlements with limited stoneworking knowledge. Yet the dolmens display a level of planning and engineering mastery that implies a far more advanced society, one capable of quarrying, transporting, and assembling multi-ton stones with astonishing precision. This contradiction has given rise to many theories, some grounded in archaeology, others bordering on myth. One view suggests that the dolmens were built by an unknown prehistoric civilization that flourished long before recorded history. Perhaps the ancestors of later Indo-European peoples, or a separate culture, now lost to time. Their sophisticated stonework hints at inherited knowledge from an even older tradition or possible contact with distant cultures. Scholars have noted remarkable similarities between the Caucasus dolmens and megalithic monuments found across the world, from Stonehenge in England to Brittany, Spain, and even Korea, particularly the shared design of box-like chambers and circular portal holes. Could this point to a forgotten global megalithic culture that once spanned continents, sharing sacred architectural ideas across vast distances? Local folklore tells another story. Among the Adyghe and Abkhazian peoples, legends speak of giants, beings of immense strength and wisdom, who built the dolmens as their homes. These giants, the tales say, understood the stars, the earth, and the hidden energies flowing through stone. When they vanished, their stone dwellings remained as echoes of a lost world. Such myths, though dismissed by scholars, mirror ancient stories from other lands where massive monuments are attributed to superhuman builders or divine beings. A more esoteric theory suggests that the dolmens were energy structures designed to harmonize with the Earth's magnetic field. The circular openings may have functioned as conduits, allowing subtle energies to flow between realms. Visitors even today claim to feel strange sensations, warmth, tingling, or a gentle pressure when they touch the stones or stand before the openings. Scientists who have tested these sites have occasionally recorded magnetic anomalies, though whether these are natural effects or remnants of deliberate design remains unclear. Archaeologists, cautious but intrigued, continue to study the dolmens through more conventional methods, analyzing quarry marks, tool traces, and geological sources of the stone. Some attribute their creation to the Makop culture, a Bronze Age people known for their metallurgy and wealth. Others believe the dolmens were built by multiple cultures over centuries, gradually evolving from simple stone slabs into the sophisticated architecture seen today. Still, the sheer scale, thousands of nearly identical monuments across the Caucasus, suggests a shared ideology or a centralized tradition now erased by time. Perhaps most haunting of all is how the Caucasus dolmens resemble their distant cousins across the world. The same box-like forms, front slabs with circular openings and impeccable stone fitting appear in monuments separated by oceans and millennia. How did civilizations with no known contact conceive such identical designs? Coincidence seems unlikely. The resemblance hints at a deeper connection, a forgotten age when knowledge, belief, and architecture may have flowed across continents long before our written histories began. Even today, locals treat the dolmens as sacred. Offerings of bread, coins, and flowers are left at their entrances, and some villages still hold ceremonies nearby. The people say the spirits of their ancestors dwell within the stones, guarding the mountains and whispering to those who listen. Whether tombs, temples, or instruments of forgotten science, the dolmens of the North Caucasus remain timeless witnesses, monuments, to a vanished civilization whose secrets still hum. Softly beneath the forest moss and mountain wind, archaeologists continue to unearth the dolmens of the North Caucasus, yet every new find seems to deepen rather than resolve the mystery. Beneath layers of soil, moss, and time, these megaliths endure like silent witnesses to a vanished epoch. Their builders unknown, their purpose obscured, their secrets sealed in stone. Who were the engineers capable of transporting such immense slabs through mountainous terrain? How did they carve the stone with such mathematical precision using tools that by our understanding should not have existed? And perhaps the most haunting question of all, why did they stop? At some point, the construction of the dolmens abruptly ended. The culture responsible for them vanished without a trace. No written records, no cities, no direct descendants, only these enduring monuments as echoes of their existence. It is as if an entire civilization was erased, leaving behind only its stone architecture to defy oblivion. The dolmens stand not merely as relics of forgotten hands, but as a reminder of the limits of our knowledge, hinting that human history may be far deeper and more complex than we dare to imagine. Perhaps one day, buried beneath the stones or hidden within the Caucasian mountains, the truth will surface. Until then, the dolmens will continue to guard their silence, timeless, ancient, and unbroken, as if waiting for humanity to remember what it has forgotten. Far from those mist-shrouded hills, across the glowing white dunes of New Mexico's White Sands National Park, another discovery has forced us to rethink our past entirely. Here, scattered across a landscape that gleams like powdered moonlight, lies a trail of ancient human footprints, pressed into the earth tens of thousands of years ago and preserved by chance, climate, and time itself. These are not bones or artifacts, but direct impressions of human life, the steps of men, women, and children who once walked the edge of a vanished lake during the last ice age, and they are rewriting everything we thought we knew about the peopling of the Americas. For over a century, archaeologists believed that humans first reached the Americas around 13,000 years ago, following retreating glaciers from Asia via the Bering Land Bridge, bringing with them the distinctive stone tools of the Clovis culture. This theory was long considered unshakable, but the footprints at White Sands changed that. Radiocarbon dating of seeds trapped in the same sediment, layers as the prints revealed an age between 21,000 and 23,000 years old, placing humans in North America thousands of years before the Clovis people ever existed. If these dates are accurate, the implications are revolutionary. It would mean humans were already living in North America at the height of the Ice Age, 10,000 years earlier than once believed. It suggests migrations far older and more complex than the land bridge model allows. Perhaps early humans followed a coastal route along the Pacific Rim or crossed through an ice-free corridor long since erased by glaciers. Or maybe they descended from an even older wave of settlers who later vanished, leaving behind only these footprints as the faintest proof of their existence. The footprints themselves are hauntingly intimate. They tell stories of people, not just survival. Many belong to young women and children, walking together across wet mud, perhaps gathering food or returning to camp. One remarkable trackway reveals a woman carrying a small child for part of the journey, setting them down occasionally before continuing alone. Each indentation of heel and toe, each shift of weight, captures a human moment frozen in time for over 20 millennia. The preservation of such fragile traces borders on the miraculous. During the Ice Age, this region was once a vast, shallow wetland, its muddy surface rich in gypsum. When humans and animals walked across it, their footprints were quickly covered by new layers of sediment. As the lake dried and the desert sands drifted in, the prints were sealed, fossilized in fine detail beneath the shifting dunes. When scientists uncovered them in the 2010s, they were stunned, not by ruins or relics, but by the immediacy of life itself, as though time had momentarily given back what it had taken. Among the human tracks are those of mammoths, giant sloths, and dire wolves, sometimes overlapping, suggesting that people and Ice Age animals walked the same ground, perhaps even hunted or watched one another. These intertwined prints form a kind of ancient photograph, a snapshot of coexistence, of a world on the edge of extinction and transformation. The white sands footprints remind us that history is not a fixed line, but a shifting landscape, as fluid and fragile as the sand that preserved these steps. They tell us that our story is older, more intricate, and more human than we ever imagined, and that somewhere in the footprints of the past, our ancestors still walk beside us, whispering through time. Some of the most remarkable footprints at White Sands tell stories not just of movement, but of encounter. In one trackway, a human step cuts cleanly across the print of a giant Ice Age sloth. The next sloth print twists sharply, as though the animal had reared back, startled or defensive. It is a frozen moment of contact between two species long vanished, preserved in sand for over 20 millennia. This single interaction proves beyond doubt that early humans and Ice Age megafauna shared the same world, walking, hunting, and surviving side by side. When the first dating results for these footprints were published, they sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The radiocarbon analysis, based on seeds from an aquatic plant, Rupia cirrhosa, found in the same layers as the prints, suggested an age between 21,000 and 23,000 years. Many scholars were skeptical. They argued that the plants might have absorbed old carbon from ancient water sources, making the results appear older than they truly were. To resolve the dispute, researchers applied additional dating methods, including optically stimulated luminescence, OSL, which measures the last time mineral grains were exposed to sunlight, and new radiocarbon tests on pollen grains rather than aquatic plants. The results, published in 2023 and 2024, independently confirmed the original estimates. The evidence held firm. Humans were present in North America more than 20,000 years ago. At the height of the last glacial maximum, this revelation has reshaped our understanding of human migration. If people were already living in New Mexico when vast ice sheets still covered the northern continent, then the traditional theory of migration through the Bering Land Bridge must be reconsidered. That route, buried under ice at the time, would have been impassable. Many scientists now propose that these early people may have journeyed along the Pacific coastline, traveling by boat or along kelp forests and island chains, a maritime migration that predates the opening of inland routes by thousands of years. The footprints are more than data. They are echoes of life. You can imagine the people themselves. A woman carrying a child, children following the tracks of mammoths, hunters watching from a distance. Each step is a heartbeat preserved in mud, a whisper from a world long gone. Their journey across the drying lakebed became a message for the future, uncovered only when desert winds revealed their path again after 20,000 years. Today, White Sands looks nothing like the wetland it once was. It is a vast desert of gleaming gypsum dunes, the largest of its kind on Earth. Under the sun, the sand glows white as snow. Under the moon, it reflects a pale, ghostly light, earning it the name the Desert of Ghosts. Yet beneath its shifting surface lies a hidden world, ancient soils, fossilized tracks, and the footsteps of the first Americans. Each new excavation reveals more trails. Some stretch hundreds of meters in long, purposeful lines. Others cluster in small groups, as if families pause to rest or talk. Together, they form an intimate portrait of Ice Age life, not of kings or empires, but of ordinary people moving through an extraordinary world. The discovery of the White Sands footprints has rewritten the opening chapter of human history in the Americas. If these people walked here 23,000 years ago, it means our ancestors may have reached this continent as early as 30,000 years ago, through multiple migrations, some surviving, others disappearing without trace. Somewhere beneath the dunes may still lie even older footprints, still buried, still waiting. Perhaps the most haunting mystery of all is not how these people came, but who they were. They left no tools, no bones, no campsites, only the rhythm of their steps across a vanished lakeshore. Were they the distant ancestors of modern indigenous peoples, or the remnants of a forgotten migration erased by time? No one can say. Yet their footprints endure, the oldest human traces in the Americas. Silent proof that even in an age of ice and extinction, humanity pressed forward, curious, determined, and alive beneath the whispering dunes. Their journey continues, the first story of us, written not in words but in steps.